Hey, Edgar here, the host of Snug Wrestling. Are you tired of your flimsy sunglasses that look just like everyone else's? Well, check out our friends from Aquila. These are handcrafted, limited run frames made in Los Angeles using recycled materials and built to last and look clean. They got UV protection, blue light options, and even prescription lenses. Plus, Aquila gives back 1% of every sale that goes to environmental causes. And because you listen to Snug Wrestling, you get 10% off with code SNUG at checkout. Just head to aquila.la and upgrade your eyewear responsibly. That's aquila.la, A-K-I-L-A.la. Save 10% off with promo code SNUG.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Snug Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Welcome to another episode of the Snug Wrestling Podcast. Tonight is Monday, which obviously means we are reviewing Monday Night RAW, the March 2nd, 2026 edition, and they were live in Indianapolis, Indiana tonight for what I thought was a pretty decent show. It started off crazy as hell, and it finished really, really strong. But before we get into all the fun that we had tonight on the show, you are listening to Mr. Blood. I am the lead host on Monday Night Raw episodes, and we are joined by Toxic, our amazing young man wrestling fan here, and the founder, the leader of Snug Wrestling, Edgar. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? And what were your quick thoughts on the overall feeling of Monday Night Raw?
So I had a very bad day today. I'm not gonna get into that, but I mean, just every week watching Raw and SmackDown and sometimes NXT, that just makes my days better. So I really like the show tonight. I mean, just no complaints about it overall. I mean, we did see a lot of things that I wasn't expecting, and just I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, it was a really easy, digestible Monday Night Raw. It had some really good moments. It was enjoyable. It was exciting. I thought it was a pretty good fallout after what we saw at the Elimination Chamber. There was a lot of stuff on the card here that was promising, and overall, I think it delivered. We got some interesting stuff to go over tonight, people.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. We had not a lot of wrestling on the show, really. We had really 3 full matches, I believe. And then we had basically an interaction that we thought was going to be a match. And then we had a match that also barely got any time to go before it was interfered on. So it was kind of a little light on the wrestling, but for the most part, a lot of the wrestling we got, I thought was good to great specifically. But let's get started. The show kicks off with the Vision hijacking the show, which they've been doing the last couple of weeks. They are not happy with the way that things have been going because they haven't been going their way. Heyman says he hates that Seth Rollins stole the credit for founding the Shield, for founding the Vision without cluing or giving any credit to Paul Heyman, who was a massive part of the inception of both of those groups. He calls him a thief consistently. He says that he stole the main event of WrestleMania right out from Logan Paul, from interfering and stomping Logan Paul this past Saturday at Elimination Chamber. Austin and Logan Paul both dump on Seth on the mic. They air it out before Adam Pearce comes out with security and basically tells him, hey, you're not hijacking my show. You're going to get the hell out of here. You're leaving Seth Rollins. To me, he is not medically cleared to compete. Now, this leads to some shenanigans. Not one, I believe 2 masked men cause distractions from different sides of the ring to lure Austin Theory and Logan Paul out of the ring and leave Paul Heyman, that poor bastard, all by himself, because then we get a callback to the original breakup of the Shield. Seth Rollins sneaks in the ring behind Paul Heyman, nails him in the back with a chair a la Roman Reigns all those years ago, and then curb stomps his head so hard it busts Paul Heyman's nose wide open. Guys, what did you think of this opening promo?
Like I said, at the Elimination Chamber review. I am so glad that Seth is back. I have missed that motherfucker. But I was expecting this fully, not how it all uh played out, but I was expecting this to happen. I was expecting, okay, Seth is probably gonna come out. He's gonna stomp one of the three. But just I wasn't expecting there to be I want to say it was three, but I want to say it was two. Two or three masked men coming out and just luring the other two away. And as soon as Seth hit that stomp on Heyman, I said, "Damn!" Like Farouk. So um like I said, I'm glad that Seth is back, and I can't wait for him to be medically cleared to compete because I want him to get back in the ring soon.
Man, this was insane. This was a crazy way to kick off Monday Night Raw. You want to talk about callbacks and flashbacks? I felt so bad for Paul Heyman because this reminded me of when he got power bombed through the announce table. Who was it by, like Solo or something? Or
Yeah, it was Solo in the MFTs. Yeah.
and I was like, man, Paul Heyman, he's fucking insane taking all these crazy bumps. That was interesting to see. But the bad thing about that is that could only mean that we're not gonna see Paul Heyman on TV for quite some time, which kind of sucks. But yeah, Seth Rollins showing up was dope. I mean, he looked medically clear to me the way he was moving in the ring. I mean, he looks good. He looks like he's ready to go. So yeah, that was also really cool to see how they did that with the with the multiple masked men running in, Seth Rollins showing up, taking out Paul Heyman. But the other thing too that I thought was crazy about this was the fact that Adam Pearce came out and he told the Vision, "Oh, you guys had nothing to do with Jey Uso," and they're denying it. They're denying it, but everyone, even Jimmy, believes that, whatever. We'll get into that later, but yeah, the Vision, Paul Heyman, they're like, we had nothing to do with that. But yeah, this was great, man. Seth Rollins is back, dude. I'm so glad to see him come back. But yeah, this was crazy for sure.
The interesting part about this is going to see whether or not Seth is technically still a heel or a baby face. I mean, you could technically just say, oh, he's a baby face because he got betrayed by heels, and now he's coming back for a pound of flesh to take down the mega heel faction. However, it does still leave a lot of questions answered again with Jey Uso, who is a Raw star, but he was taken out on a SmackDown show. And again, it could be a red herring. Maybe it's not the Vision. Maybe it was Jacob Fatu, but I got a sneaking suspicion it might be someone else entirely. I'm starting to think maybe Sami Zayn is creeping into a heel. But let's move on. Next, following this, coming back from commercial break, we got a backstage segment where Paul Heyman's being loaded into an ambulance. And of course, Logan Paul and Austin Theory are freaking out. What's wrong with the wise man? Yada, yada. Is he okay? You need to get him to the hospital. And Austin Theory screams at Logan Paul, go get the car. Go get the car. Because they're going to follow the ambulance to the hospital. So Logan disappears out of frame, but we don't see him for a second. We're wondering what's going on. And then out of nowhere, Austin Theory goes around the side to get the SUV. The door is wide open for some reason, but it's Jimmy Uso who jumps out of the driver's seat, punches and beats the piss out of Austin Theory, throws him over a bunch of equipment cases, and then he walks forward for the reveal that L.A. Knight, is the one driving the ambulance, and he kidnaps Paul Heyman, who is strapped into a gurney. And I thought this was really cool, and it winds up setting a match up later down the road for Theory versus Jimmy, which we'll get to here in a bit. But I thought this was wildly entertaining. Guys, what did you think about this this segment following the open?
I wasn't expecting any of this shit. I just thought it was a classic ambulance shot where they just load whoever needs to be taken into an ambulance to like wherever. But I wasn't expecting Jimmy to be there. And yes, he did absolutely the pith out of Austin Theory, which he kind of deserves for being an asshole. But that's how he is because he's a heel. But I want to know where LA Knight took Paul Heyman. Knowing him, he probably took him Lord only knows where, but just that this whole entire thing was both funny and cool to watch at the same time.
That was my question exactly. Where did LA Knight take Paul Heyman? We did not hear anything else about this ever again for the rest of the night. No update, no nothing. Yes, it was entertaining, it was interesting, but also like it's just like the small things like that that kind of annoy me. LA Knight just kidnaps Paul Heyman and that's it. That's the end of that. But even when the masked men were showing up, Logan Paul chases after one, Austin Theory chases the other one, and then they just disappear. And then we go back to the to the parking lot. Jimmy shows up, he punches Austin Theory, and he gets taken out. Where did Logan Paul go? Like he just walked around the truck and he just disappeared. Where was he when all this was happening in the park? I don't know. Whatever. It's just, yes, it was funny. It was entertaining. LA Knight got a nice little pop, but it was all right.
Well, here's my thing too, is all this happened in the span of maybe a minute, 45 seconds, 2 minutes. My first thought was, where the fuck did Logan go? He walked around the passenger side and somehow didn't see LA Knight. LA could have been ducked down. That's fine. But then it's only within a matter of 15 seconds or less, Austin decides to go check, see where the hell the SUV is. Where's the car? You're telling me Jimmy was able to take out Logan and incapacitate him and hide him that quickly to then hide in their SUV driver's seat? So I was like, okay, well, my first thought was maybe Jay or somebody took Logan out when he ran around that side of the ambulance and we just didn't see or hear it. But I'm like, but I feel like you would have heard Logan scream something. Then my second thought was, hold on, what if Logan is in on it? What if Logan's maybe not the actual heel? What if Logan is the sleeper that we all thought Austin? Because how does Logan disappear so quickly? It's Logan Paul, former fucking professional boxer, louder than loud, and can fight his way out for a minute. And I believe he can beat Jimmy Uso in a fist fight. How does he disappear so quickly? Not a sound in less than 15 seconds. And he's out long enough for Jimmy to do all that to Austin and for LA Knight to steal the ambulance. A lot of questions, a lot more questions than answers. I'm going to be honest with you. But this also leads me into something I really liked about this opening night. Gunther surprisingly comes out for a match, completely forgot this match was supposed to happen, and he gets jumped by Dragon Lee during his entrance. And Dragon Lee beats the piss out of him before we cut to the next commercial break. All of this from the beginning of the show to this Dragon Lee jumping Gunther, this all happened within the first 21 minutes of Monday Night Raw. It was so chaotic. So many things happened. We got setups of the fact that LA Knight's working with the Usos. We got setups for the fact that Paul Heyman got taken out. Seth Rollins is fucking back. And Dragon Lee and Gunther are already laying hands on each other. This isn't the first 20-something minutes. This is very unusual for Monday Night Raw because a lot of times we got a segment, an opening segment that lasts 20 fucking. In this episode, we got not only one segment, we got a segment with a run-in, with a stomp angle, with an ambulance angle, with another jumping run-in surprise angle, and the kidnapping of Paul Heyman into Dragon Lee, then jumping Gunther. I had high hopes for this show due to this pacing because I thought it was great how much we actually got out of this. Now, the match of Gunther and Dragon Lee, I gotta say, exceeded my expectation. I was not expecting this much out of this match. I did not think Dragon Lee was going to lay hands on Gunther the way he did in this match. These guys had a great match. Dragon Lee reverses three different power bombs. Literally gets out of Gunther's old finisher, the last symphony, which Corey Graves called the Emerald Flosion. He fucking hits one Operation Dragon on Gunther outside the ring after Gunther ragdoll powerbombed him. Gunther gets the win, but he had to fight to beat Dragon Lee here. And it was dumb of him to also let Dragon Lee out of the pin that he already had him and beat. I thought this was a great opening match. What did you guys think of this? But man, this was this one honestly took me by surprise.
Man, this is perfect booking. How I see things, man. This is perfect for Dragon Lee, who's this young up and coming guy that they're trying to put over. So what better way to put him over than versus the biggest heel in the company right now, the guy that everyone hates right now, the guy with the most heat, Gunther, right? And not only that, you showcase Dragon Lee as that fighter. He's got that fighting spirit. He's a lot smaller too. So automatically the fans got behind Dragon Lee in a big way, which is a perfect way to put him over. But also, Gunther was very dominant in this match, even though this match was very long and, competitive for some part of the matches where Dragon Lee was able to fight back. But yeah, Gunther pretty much he could have had this thing won already, right? But he underestimated the much smaller Dragon Lee, and it was a dirty fight. It was vicious. Dragon Lee kept trying to fight back. Gunther kept cutting him off. And then the ultimate sign of disrespect where Gunther unmasked Dragon Lee and then he chokes him out. I thought this was a great showing for Dragon Lee. The right guy won. But also what happens after this, I just hope that the people will be more interested in Dragon Lee moving forward after this. And I think they are. So overall, I was really impressed by this whole entire match.
I hate this. I'm glitching out. But the match, I really didn't care for it. I genuinely didn't. It was just really boring. I don't know why I expected better from this. Speaking between it's, even though I hate him, one of the best in the ring, Gunther, and another best in the ring, Dragon Lee, but I just didn't care for it. It just felt like that they were just, it felt like Dragon Lee just wanted to get it over with quick and just wanted to count Gunther out. So I just didn't care for it.
I'd also like to state for the record here too that the last time we saw a wrestler face Gunther in a situation that was very reminiscent of this match's setup and overall story being told, the smaller but faster, more agile wrestler versus Gunther, was Chad Gable telling that story of beating Gunther, being the first person to beat Gunther on the main roster by countout, and legitimately gave Gunther a run for his money. And as much as, Gunther seems to adapt and learn from opponent to opponent, he seems to never grow or elevate himself past his one glowing flaw, and that is he always underestimates his opponent. It's okay to have an ego, but stepping in the ring with people like Dragon Lee, like Chad Gable, hell, Gunther even underestimated CM Punk last year, and it cost him the World Heavyweight Championship, and that's why Punk is champion now. Gunther is amazing, but now that we've moved past this, my main question is, who the hell does Gunther face at WrestleMania now? If Obafemi, let's say, accepts that challenge against Brock Lesnar, what story do you set up for Gunther at Mania with only about 6 weeks to go?
What challenge?
Well, what do you mean? Brock Lesnar has an open challenge for WrestleMania that he set up last week.
Okay.
So, and it's probably going to be answered by Obafemi unless they've decided Obafemi is going to feud and have a match with Rusev at Mania. Gunther is still on the table for Brock Lesnar.
I thought Brock Lesnar had challenged Oba or something. I was like, what did I miss something? But okay.
No,
right.
but it's just an interesting thought. But we're going to go ahead and move on here. And I'm going to fuse these two segments together, though they happen on opposite parts of the hours. They run hand in hand. AJ Lee comes out. She gets "You Deserve It" chance. She beat and submitted Becky Lynch at Elimination Chamber, becoming her first time ever as an IC Women's Champion, the first title she's held in 12 years after having her first singles match in 10. Now, she says she wants to be a fighting champion. She gives Becky her props. She really does. But she also says she doesn't want to wait until WrestleMania to defend this title. She says Mania, it would be easy for her to wait and just wait out a match. She says she's taken all comers right now to challenge her for this Women's Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, which cuts to a segment backstage with Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. Now, Lyra is pushing Bayley to try to qualify or become the number one contender for AJ Lee. Lyra says, well, if all these other women can do it, why can't you do it, Bayley? I'll be damned if you have to miss out on a second WrestleMania in a row. This leads to them going to talk to Adam Pearce to ask to get a match. And who walks out of his office? Io Sky. Now, we find out later in the night that next week on Monday, we will have a multi-woman's number one contendership match to determine who will face AJ Lee next for the Women's IC Championship. And on that list, at least of the names I can remember, we had Io Sky, Bayley, we had Lyra Valkyria, we also had, if I remember correctly, Ivy Nile, and I think there was a fifth woman. Was it Becky Lynch?
There was Asuka and Raquel. I'm pretty sure it was Asuka.
Okay, Asuka. So, and Raquel. So right there, we've already got a star-studded matchup for next week to face off to see who's going to be the IC Championship's number one contender. But again, this is not for a match at Mania. This is just the next time AJ steps in the ring, she will defend that championship, unquote.
I mean, I'm glad that AJ won this, and all the women that are potentially next up for her, I'm interested. No matter who wins the gauntlet next week, I'm interested no matter who wins, because all of these women are just amazing talent, and I feel like they would work well in the ring with AJ.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I said this episode of Monday Night Raw was like a good post Elimination Chamber episode, or like the fallout of Elimination Chamber, because we got a new champion, Women's Intercontinental Champion at the Chamber. And right off the bat, she comes out, AJ Lee, and she calls out all the women. She's like, whoever wants it, come get it, you know? And she wants to be a fighting champion. You know, she was like, I'm not going to wait until WrestleMania to defend this. Oh, shit. Okay. That's interesting. Nah, she's like, the next time you see me, I'm going to be defending this. All right, cool. And then we start seeing all these like stars, big name stars like Bayley, you know, like Io Sky, you know, all like you kind of like gathering together to see who's going to be the, you know, first to challenge AJ Lee. So it's exciting, man. You're kind of eager to find out who it's going to be. Well, who's AJ Lee going to face first or next, you know? So I thought this was dope, man. I'm glad AJ Lee is champion, because now we got a lot of good potential matches that we can see for that Women's Intercontinental.
Yeah, it's nice to see that the division can flesh out rather than watching Becky hoard that title and only have her face, you know, like Maxine 3 or 4 times, or not even fought Natty. You know, she had a match against Nikki Bella that was really, really bad. And she went back and forth with Bayley and Lyra for most of the end of the summer over this championship. And it just feels like that reign was grating on a lot of the audience's patience. Though her character work has been great, the title run started to feel extremely like it was overstaying its welcome. Now, up next is what I believe, to me, in my opinion, I got to be honest. I felt like this was the lowest point of the show. And not because it was bad, but because I think it was heatless. And I'm ready to see it move on or finish and just move on to maybe just a AAA rivalry instead. El Grande Americano Chad version, that is. So Chad Grande versus Ryo, a.k.a. Tyler Bate. Or not Tyler Bate, sorry, Pete Dunne. They had a match, basically a bunch of interference like we've always seen. You know, Chad overcomes most of the interference, multiple headbutts, multiple distractions, kicks out, winds up getting the victory with the Chaos Theory German suplex on Ryo. and Chad wins. I mean, this was really heatless. The crowd gave it some love here and there, but to be honest, I mean, no one cared when Chad came out. He barely got a reaction. I feel like this is a feud that has overstayed its welcome on the main roster because it's a joke that they have stretched out 7 months. It was supposed to be a gag with Chad that had other plans before he had to get injured and get surgery. And then when they passed it on to Ludwig, he did great with it, but they kept dragging it out and dragging it out. And then it's doing so much better in AAA. And I just don't know why they don't move the feud onto that brand instead and keep it there where fans actually seem to care about seeing it. Because I don't think it's getting the love it deserves on the main roster. And this was a prime example of that. I don't think we need to drag this out till Mania for a one-on-one match between both Grandes for a mask off. But I got to be honest, I'm kind of tired of seeing this on main roster TV. I think put it on AAA where it's doing much, much, much better story.
I'm the other way. I enjoy this El Grande Americano thing. I didn't at first whenever we first saw it last year, but it started to grow on me. And then having Chad as the original El Grande Americano, I don't know what it did for me, but it just made me like it even more. But at WrestleMania this year, if they do have a mask for mask, like unmask loser unmasked blah loser unmasks, that needs to be the end. I mean, if I could see Chad winning that and then just straight up pulling his mask off, even if he wins, because I'm starting to get just a little bit tired of it, but it's still entertaining for me.
Yeah, so I don't think that they're going to face each other at WrestleMania. The whole point of having this match on this card is to promote the match that they're having March 14th at the AAA event. I think it's called Rey de Reyes or something like that. So that was the point of this match here. I'm not sure what type of match they're going to have. If it's going to be a singles match or if there's more people involved, I'm not really sure. That's why they had this match on this card. And they're going to keep having, stuff like this on Monday Night Raw where, a lot of people are watching just to promote AAA, which is understandable, right? But I also wouldn't say this is heatless. It might be for most people watching Monday Night Raw, especially if they don't watch AAA, they don't see the stuff that's happening down there. Because Mr. Blood is right. The story is a lot bigger over there. But unless you're watching it, then this probably is not going to interest you very much. Especially if you don't see like the dynamic that they have over there, which is really intense compared to over here. Even the roles are switched. Americano Kaiser is the baby face over there. Chad Gable is the baby face in the United States. So it's kind of like, it's a lot different when you see it on Monday Night Raw compared to over there. But the match itself was still really enjoyable. The work that they did, I mean, it's Chad Gable and Pete Dunne. They also had some entertaining Gaga thrown in there. So I thought it was good, but it was just one of those things that they just put on there just to promote AAA, and that's what it felt like to me.
And I'm fine with that. I think what it really is, like a lot of people, I'm really just ready to finally get that serious Chad Gable run without the stablemates, he's completely dropped his other group. When he left, he had told Ivy Nile, hold the fort down until I get back. When I get back, I want to see all you guys dripped out in championship. Since he has come back, we have not seen a single interaction with them at all. He hasn't talked to the Creed brothers, hasn't talked to Ivy Nile, hasn't even acknowledged that he was with them before. Even though they know he was El Grande, that's just been thrown to the wayside. We have Ivy Nile, who is still wrestling on main roster TV. She's in that gauntlet match next week. Hasn't been a single promo interaction backstage segment. And I don't even know the last time we saw the Creed brothers on Monday Night Raw TV. I think it was like 3 weeks ago or more. So I just want to see a Chad Gable run and a push where he gets to just go out there and be the fucking wrestling machine that we know he is. I'm also ready to see Ludwig Kaiser drop this shtick too, because as much as over as he is in AAA, I really want to see the Ludwig Kaiser run. We never got to see, continue and get traction when he was in the men's Intercontinental Championship division every single week, fighting against Braun Breaker and fighting against Sheamus and having great matches against Penta. Like, I want to see what that looks like when it's actually given legs to stand. And I feel like both of them had that cut out from under them, and I'm ready to get back to that. That's just me personally. But let's move on to what I thought was a very, very, very good segment. 2 weeks in a row, I'm really, really liking this Judgment Day, these personal Judgment Day backstage segments of late, because last week we got some really good character progression, some character development from Finn specifically. And we have these different, everybody's in a different headspace in the group. It almost feels like everybody's starting to get off page because they're all focused on their own things in the group. And it's starting to create rifts between everybody. Now, JD, Finn says he's at peace. They say, hey, man, it was a great job at Chamber. Sorry you lost. He goes, hey, you know what? I lost, but I'm at peace with it. I've made peace with it. I feel good knowing that I did it on my own. And even if I didn't lose, yada, yada. Good for Finn. Starting to see those babyface cracks. Dom selfishly tells Finn, great. Now that you've lost and you've moved on, can we focus on me now? Can we focus on me retaining my title? Which immediately you see Finn light up like, who the fuck are you talking to? And Dom just continues to be selfish. He's telling them, you need to help me win. Finn says, no, we talked about this. You need to win this on your own, man. You need to do it by yourself. JD tries to calm them down. Dom says, well, no, I am going to do it by myself. I mean, are you guys going to at least be out there to celebrate with? Of course I'm going to do it by myself. And Finn reminds Dom, we'll be out there to support you, but you're going to do it alone. What did you guys think of this segment?
The segment was perfect. It was fine. I've also really liked these Judgment Day stories backstage where it's mainly focused on the men in the Judgment Day, like Dom, JD, and Finn. And I'm liking the baby face cracks with Finn Balor and then just like Dom being selfish. But I did see where Dom was coming. I mean, he needs to retain to keep the IC championship in the Judgment Day, and the Judgment Day is a heel group. So, I mean, it makes sense why he would want them to help. But I mean, I like it. I like the segments that we got with the Judgment Day so far.
Yeah, it makes sense that Dom wants them to help, which is why, I don't really understand why last minute Dom changed his mind and was like, oh no, I meant, are you guys going to be there with me to celebrate after I win or whatever? It's just like, what, are you afraid of Finn Balor now all of a sudden? Like, you've been saying for weeks, Dom, are you guys going to be there? Are you guys going to help me? I need you guys, blah, blah, blah. And then Finn's like, no, you say you're going to do it by yourself. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, it's just like, bro, just tell him, bro. Yeah, help me. I need you guys. I don't know. I thought the backstage segment was fine, but I was a little annoyed about that, how Dom was just like, no, I meant, changing his mind last minute. It's whatever. It was just a backstage segment.
Let me put it into context. It makes sense because Finn is finally calling Dom out for the manipulation. He knows Dom is trying to manipulate them into helping him win because he's too weak to do it by himself. This was Dom backtracking because Finn called him out again because they weren't there to defend Finn Balor. So Finn's like, well, you do it on your own. Since you said you don't need us, prove that you don't need us, because that's what they argued about a couple weeks ago. And Dom said, I don't need you guys. I can do this without you. I've never needed you. So Finn is holding him to it because he's calling Dom's bluff. And so Dom is out here trying to manipulate them into at least being ringside, because we're going to talk about what happened in the match, but he's still manipulating them so they'll at least be out there, so then he can try to manipulate them again. So, and that's what it's really about. Dom doesn't care about. He cares about them being around to use them. And so that was his way of agreeing, no, I am going to do it on my own, but you'll still be out there to celebrate with me, right? Because as soon as they were out there in the match, he took advantage of their presence. But when it comes down to it, this really quickly, I'm going to skip ahead for a minute, leads to a segment again with the Judgment Day where Adam Pearce is talking to the newest addition to, I'm assuming, Monday Night Raw, Danhausen, who is back there having a little bit of a catch and release comedy with Adam Pearce. He's got the jar of teeth. And the Judgment Day, the men anyway, Dominik, JD, and Finn walk by, and Adam Pearce is trying to get the hell away from Danhausen because he's making all these lists of demands. And very quickly, Adam Pearce goes, oh, have you met Danhausen? Here, you guys, he listened to his list of demands. I got to get the fuck out of here. And he basically uses them to run away. Now, Danhausen tries to be nice. Finn and JD both actually try to be very welcoming. It's Dom who was a dick. And Dom's now learned a thing or two about irony because he got cursed by Danhausen. And let's just say it played a major factor later in his match against Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. What did you think about this?
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but the second I saw the famous Danhausen curse on Dominik Mysterio, I thought, well, Dom is losing tonight. I might be the only one that actually thought that, but I'm like, it's just because Danhausen is new, right? They want to put him over in some type of way. So now Danhausen has that ability to say, oh, I cursed Dominik Mysterio. That's why he lost. So the second they did that, I'm like, oh, no. I'm worried for Dom's championship reign now, whatever. We'll get into that later on. But it was a good segment from the beginning. Adam Pearce was on the phone talking to Nick Aldis, talking about Danhausen. Oh, maybe he's your problem. So right off the bat, like, everyone's already annoyed by Danhausen. He just got there, right? And then Danhausen is like, oh, I got a list of demands because I had a very successful debut and I got lots of cheers. That's not true. So already he's like, being his goofy, sarcastic self. He's going, he's playing along with the jokes and all the discourse online. And I thought that was really great. But yeah, man, this is classic Danhausen. He's funny in his own way. He was looking at the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know if they'll actually take him that serious. We'll see. But we got a nice follow-up after that debut from Elimination Chamber. Again, good continuation. We got to see Danhausen on Raw. We'll see what they do with him, man. I can't guess or imagine what plans they might have for him, but I'm interested.
Here's you know what? Actually, before I give my thoughts on this, I want Toxic's thoughts on Danhausen's segment where he curses Dominik Mysterio.
I was heading on Danhausen coming in to WWE at the Elimination Chamber, but I think that was mainly just the fact that I wasn't expecting him to be in the crate, and that kind of made me mad because I'm kind of liking his character now, and I want to see if he continues to curse people on the roster and making them lose their matches or lose their titles, which would be the same thing as losing your matches. But I'm kind of interested now, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Here's my thing. It's not just the online ire Danhausen got. Reports came out today that there were many WWE higher-ups that actually were against WWE even signing Danhausen to begin with. A lot of people didn't want him in the company. Executives did not want him in the company. And reports came out that the terrible reception he got at Elimination Chamber, they are already using it against him backstage. He's got heat with executives and producers backstage who didn't want him there off the bat. And they are trying to use the boos and the lackluster debut he had and they're trying to use it against him to prove their point as to why he shouldn't have been signed in the first place. Here's another thing. Danhausen is wildly entertaining. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how many people jump down my throat about my rant about Danhausen from Saturday night, which is going viral on Instagram, by the way, if you want to hear my rant. Because a lot of you thought, well, if you don't like Danhausen, just say that, bro. It's not that serious. Oh, grown man. I never shit on Danhausen. I never did. I actually praised him for getting a contract. I was happy for him. I said that at the end of the video. Learn to listen. My problem is, how does his character work in 2026 on the main roster? How many fans do you honestly think in attendance who are majority casuals nowadays? How many of them do you honestly think even know what the fuck a Danhausen curse is? How many of them do you even think watch AEW enough to have known who Danhausen was if they even saw him on TV when he was barely featured? So to have him show up and the first thing he does is curse Dominik Mysterio, well, my thoughts are half that audience went, what? What do you mean curse Dominik Mysterio? I don't get it. Curse. What is Danhausen? Does Danhausen curse people? Have you ever seen this before? I don't know. Have you? That's my problem. You insert the guy at random, and then you have him do random things off the rip, expecting everybody to be in on it, and then expect that to be a character trait as if he's been here the entire time, and he hasn't.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like me, someone who is pretty familiar with the character and the whole cursing thing, that was a dead giveaway to me that Dominik Mysterio was
100%. Right? I automatically knew it.
So there's a lot of people, like you said, who knows about this that's actually watching. I think that's the point. Like, to them, it wasn't a dead giveaway. But now they're going to go back and say, see, this is a Danhausen curse. And it's like an introduction to Danhausen. So in that way, I think it works.
I would also like to say his segment with Pearce, I liked the character because he didn't come off what could have easily been extremely cringy and hokey. He came off extremely sarcastically dry to the point where it was entertaining to listen to him talk to Adam Pearce. I was like, okay, that's actually kind of funny. Like it's not slapstick, goofy Santino Marella, random ass R-Truth shit that we've learned to love. It was he's a character that takes himself seriously while he's played by a guy who doesn't take himself seriously, and it works. It's like meta humor, and I thought it came off very, very well, and I will give him that for sure. So I am looking forward to seeing where this goes. What division? Go ahead.
Before we switch gears, I want to add something about that.
Sure.
Because Danhausen is very unique. I mean, there's a reason why they brought him, despite some of the reports that not everyone was on board with this. Because it could be really hit or miss. You know, it could be a complete flop, or it could be a huge success. We don't know, right? The thing that I was reading online, and I think this report came from Dave Meltzer, so I don't know if this is completely true, but apparently Danhausen was offered a huge fucking contract. I'm talking millions of dollars to be in the WWE, which is insane to think about. So if they're really paying him that much money, then they must have big plans for him or something. And also the timing of this, he's from Chicago, which is a big reason why they did. And I'm sure being CM Punk's really, really good friend must have had something to do with bringing him to the WWE and, being offered this huge contract, reportedly, allegedly. Man, the things that are happening. I mean, he just got here. He's already making big news and shit. So,
how about the fact that he debuted on the main roster and skipped all of NXT? When his other
he's going to stay there too.
His other AEW counterparts, keep in mind, Ethan Page and Ricky Saints all had to go through NXT and are still on NXT. Blake Monroe, how about the fact that the only people who come from AEW who got to jump the line are like Penta, Jade Cargill, who went straight to main roster. So they have to have big plans for him because they had big plans for those two. And speaking of that, we'll get into that 2 segments from now about those plans for Penta. But when it comes down to it, I'm intrigued to see the success they're going to put on this man. We also got something that I also thought was a bit of a letdown, but I have hopes for. Rusev calls out Obafemi. It's very rare that you see a heel willingly beckon a fight and an ass beating for himself rather than jumping someone straight up. No, Rusev stood 10 toes down, quite literally, on the announcer's table and said, Oba, instead of all this talking, come out here and do something. And Oba answered the fucking call, came out in his street clothes. And at first I thought, oh, we're going to get a match because Rusev is in his gear. Nope, Oba's in his streets. We had a face-off between these two. Oba basically brawled out with them, stood tall, planted fucking his ass, and then clotheslined Rusev straight over the top rope and posed. And that was it. And I was really hoping for a match or a little bit more out of this. But no, Oba's been on the main roster for 2 weeks now without being assigned to a specific brand. And we've had other matches with squash jobs. We finally get a face-off with a real challenge for this guy, and we don't get a match. So I don't know if this is building towards Mania for these two or what, but there's only 6 weeks out. You've got to get Oba on something. And in my opinion, you can't have him wasting his time on Rusev if you're not going to pull the trigger on it at Mania, if you're going to put him with Brock Lesnar. So I need us to know, we need some clarity here. Guys, do you think he's facing Rusev at Mania, or do you think he's going to answer that open challenge from Brock Lesnar, whom I believe starts having dates as far as next week or the Monday after, heading into Mania?
Yeah, I don't see them doing Oba versus Rusev, but it's a big possibility. And are we also talking about the segment too, or just about the?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the segment? Where do you think it's leading? Whatever, brother.
Okay. I think Oba's Raw coded. I mean, just SmackDown. He's been beating jobbers like Kit Wilson. Fuck you, Snug. The Miz, which that's bad to say that Miz is considered a quote unquote jobber, because he's a multiple time world champion. He's main evented WrestleMania. He beat John Cena. He's a multiple time Intercontinental champion, I should say. But just the point is that
most decorated jobber in the industry.
That. But I think Oba is just Raw coded, and if they do have Oba face Rusev at Mania, then they gotta book it right. Because if they don't, then I just don't see them doing it, and Oba needs to accept or whatever it is for Brock's open challenge.
Yeah, I think this is just something for Obafemi to do before WrestleMania. I believe that Oba will most likely answer the Lesnar Open Challenge, because this did not feel like the beginning of a WrestleMania. This just felt like whatever, this thing that we saw with Obafemi and Rusev, maybe just to set up a match or two, maybe next week or something. Because I mean, if they really had plans for these two for WrestleMania, I think they would have made this a way bigger deal than what it actually was, because this didn't really feel like a big deal. This felt kind of dead to me, and honest. You know, we got two big ass dudes, Oba and Rusev, right? And you would think, oh my God, these two behemoths. Oh, we got to reinforce the ring. Oh, where's security? We can't let these two big ass dudes tear each other apart. It was not like that at all. It was just whatever, It
almost felt like WWE was testing the waters. In my opinion, it feels like WWE doesn't know what they're having Oba do yet. So they're trying to gauge the audience. They're trying to see, well, let's see if we can get them behind Oba versus Rusev so we can give Gunther to Brock. But if the fans want to see Oba with Brock more, then we got to figure out what to do with Gunther. Because we're 6 weeks out from Mania, folks. There is nothing happening involving Gunther that even remotely feels WrestleMania-esque at all. And I've got to be honest, there's only two people that I genuinely believe makes sense to face Brock at Mania, and it's Gunther or Oba. And honestly, I mean, which do you choose? Because if you don't choose one, the other kind of suffers or has a lackluster build for the show, or they're left off the show. And I don't see WWE leaving Gunther off of WrestleMania, but the way they're pushing Oba, I can't see them purposefully leaving him off Mania either. The amount of fanfare he has and the amount of people who were cheering and chanting Oba during Brock's segment last Monday.
I say let Oba answer Carmelo Hayes' U.S. Open Challenge at WrestleMania.
That's not bad either. Can he though? If he's on, well, we don't know what brand he's going to sign to yet. Can he answer that open challenge if he signs with Raw? That's the question. Can he just answer a challenge for an opposite brand in a different division? I don't know, but for now, questions are up in the air. But let's move on to the match that got set up from that second opening segment tonight. Jimmy Uso versus Austin Theory, an impromptu match made by Jimmy Uso, laying the fucking smackdown on Austin Theory backstage around the ambulance. This match I thought was actually going to have a little bit more to it. It didn't. It went a couple of minutes. Logan Paul interferes, gets in the ring. It took the ref forever to DQ. But literally, like Logan was in the ring for a hot second before the ref was like, "Oh, you're in here." And then he goes, "Stop beating on him." Okay, now ring the bell. And this leads to them basically trying to, beat the shit out of Jimmy Uso, beat him down. But we hear Jay Uso's music go off, and they're distracted staring down the ramp, and they don't see the Yeet Man himself around the backside of the ring, looking dead at his brother, sliding crutches in the ring and going, "Oh yeah, we gonna get him." Slides in, and they stereo smack the shit out of these boys right in the backs with these crutches, sending them packing, confirming what my prediction in the review was last Saturday, where I literally said for the Elimination Chamber review, available on Apple and Spotify if you haven't listened to it, that I could see them putting the Vision against the Usos for the tag titles at WrestleMania, because unless Brock or Braun Breaker's coming back early and he's facing Seth, you need Austin and Logan to do something at the show to keep the Vision strong. Involving them in the tag title scene made the most sense. And here we are with them beginning the very setup of that tonight. So guys, what did you think of this?
I don't know how I feel about the Vision versus the Usos at Mania. My original prediction for the Usos at Mania was obviously going to be the reunited Lucha Brothers, but I don't think that would happen because I just don't think they would give us that. But if we can't get that, then I'm fine with this. It's just a little bit iffy to me because part of me would rather see a 6-man tag match, LA Knight and the Usos versus, if either Bronson or Braun comes back, which I don't think they would do that for Braun because, Seth is right there. But the only case I could see them doing that is if Bronson comes back early, which I don't even know how serious his injury is and how long he's going to be out.
He had surgery. News broke that he had successfully underwent the surgery. So we're talking 3 to 6 months.
Okay. So, if it's 3, then, I could see them do that. But, that would just feel like a story without Bronson and Bronson just being thrown into there because he's back. And, LA Knight's teaming with the Usos and there's 3 people for the Vision, so 6-man, boom. But I'm glad that Jay is not injured because, Lord knows what was going to happen, even though it was more than likely just a work so Logan can get in the chamber. But I'm glad that Jay's back because why the fuck not?
I kind of forgot that the Usos were tag team champions for a minute there, because why didn't Jimmy have the tag team championship on him? Whatever. But he, every time Austin Theory has a wrestling match, a one-on-one, it always gets cut off or it always ends in like interference, except for, I think the only match that Austin Theory has actually had we had a finish was versus Rey Mysterio. Like every time Austin Theory gets in the ring, he wrestles for a couple minutes and then boom, DQ or whatever. This was more of an angle than a wrestling match. This was just to get the return of Jey Uso. He came out of the hospital, with crutches, even though he didn't need them. But I guess Jey Uso must have stolen them from the hospital without anyone knowing, or I don't know. But yeah, I didn't think, I wasn't too thrilled about this, if I'm being.
I mean, the hospital will just give you the crutches, but I have 2 pairs in the closet.
I guess.
But when it came down to it, my thing is this, because it's interesting what Toxic said, where he said, if Bronson were to come back, but now we know as of this morning's news, Bronson underwent a successful bicep surgery for the distal tear he had. And he said he had tweeted successful surgery day 1 on to coming back. Now we know there's no way you can heal a distal bicep tear even after surgery. You cannot rehab that in 6 weeks. It's just not happening. Even John Cena, the miracle worker that his freaking blood cells are not repairing that, in 6 weeks. It makes me wonder, will they disband the Vision, or will the Vision story be finished before he even gets a chance to return to be a part of the ending? I mean, we're talking 3 to 6 months here of rehab and PT, then impact testing. And there's already going to be a pretty big point of story turn here at Mania in 6 weeks. If Braun Breaker is, which he is reported as of this morning, supposed to be back in time to face Seth, that's back on the table. And we put the other 2, Logan and Theory, in there with the tag titles on the line against the Usos. We got to figure out what the fuck LA Knight's doing as well, since he's clearly still a part of this story. It just makes me wonder, does poor Bronson miss out on the ending of this faction? Or, in my opinion, the biggest moment this faction might have at this Mania? And will the rest of the story pass him by? I mean, it really sucks, man. It really sucks that Seth and Braun could get injured, but they can come back in time for this. The other 2 will have their spot, but I feel like Bronson is the odd man out. So rest up and recover quickly, Bronson Reed, because we miss you. And in my opinion, you're just as big a part of the story as anybody else. But moving on to what was an insanely good match, Penta versus Dom for the Intercontinental Championship. Man, this was awesome. JD and Finn were out at ringside. We had ourselves a really good back and forth here. A lot of shifting of control. I'd say this match went about 50-50. It was a lot of fun. Dom realizing that, he's going to be in trouble here if he doesn't think quick. He reverses the first attempt at the Mexican Destroyer and gets him down. He calls over. Now, this is where that manipulation comes in. He calls over to JD and Finn when the ref's back is turned, because out of nowhere, Penta gets injured, quote unquote, by ramming the freaking the turnbuckle with his shoulder. And at first, I legit thought this was a real injury for the first 3 seconds, because he's screaming on my shoulder to the ref. I legit thought, oh, fuck, not again, because he did just hurt his shoulder a few months ago. And this gives Dom the time to go over and beckon to JD and Finn, hey, get me the ring bell, get me the ring bell. Now, Finn is like, what are you talking about? You're going to do this yourself. JD ignores Finn and goes and gets the ring bell to help Dom. But on the way back, Finn literally stops JD dead in his tracks and tries to yank the ring bell and says, we're not helping him. He said he's going to do it on his own. Let him do it on his own. JD says, he told me to get the ring bell. Finn says, I don't care. He says he's going to do it on his own. He needs to do it on his own. Causes a long enough distraction for Penta to believe that I don't give a fuck who's doing what on their own. I'm not letting you guys be a factor in this finish. Does a giant dive out, takes them both out, runs in the ring, and then basically beats Dom with a Mexican Destroyer for the 1-2-3. Finally, a year and 2 months after his debut, Penta wins his first championship in WWE, the Intercontinental Championship. And yes, that Danhausen curse, well, it worked its magic, no pun intended.
Just want to give a couple quick shout outs, Toxic, before you get into it. Shout out to Luis Bruh. Shout out to Farouk Ahmed and Finch Master Flex. Shout out to all you guys in the comments on Instagram. I appreciate the love, y'all.
So I'm gonna start predicting who I think is going to take the title off of whoever just won it. I would like to see Javon take the title off of Penta. I don't know why I want to. I just like doing that. But I'm so happy for Penta. He's deserved this, and out of the 6 matches that they've had for the title, it's long overdue that Penta deserves this title. He's had a lot more shots than necessary for this against Braun, against Finn, and Dom and Braun at Mania. But it was about damn time. He looks amazing with that belt, and just he better do what Dom didn't do and be a fighting champion.
Well, goddamn, boy just got the championship. You're already talking about who he's gonna lose it to. It hasn't even been an hour yet. Toxic, but goddamn.
I swear, fans love nothing more than to see a motherfucker fail.
I'm just predicting.
Well, Penta finished his story, y'all. Nah, I'm just kidding. That's a bit much, but in a way he did, because, you know, it's been over a year since he's been in the WWE, and people have been shitting on Penta's WWE run for the simple fact that he hasn't won a championship yet. And Blood and I, we went over his career and everything he's done in the WWE. You know, since he got there, he's had a pretty successful WWE run already. And this right here, this championship, pretty much is like the reward that he earned this title shot. He didn't just show up in the company and then just boom, you're going to win the championships, all the championships right away. No, it took him a year. He fought hard for it. He had multiple shots. He was in multiple matches, Money in the Banks, all that. So it was a good feel moment seeing him get this accomplishment, an Intercontinental Championship, which is a huge, as a Penta fan, that I've been a Penta fan since he was in AEW, which is not that long ago. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, I've been a huge Penta fan my whole life. I was introduced to Penta in AEW. I got to meet Penta and I'm just really happy for him, genuinely, man. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Penta now that he's Intercontinental Champion. Sky's the limit for Penta, man. This was dope.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm going to defend Penta's year again here, and I'm going to double down on it. He just won the title, literally famous for being the workhorse title. He spent an entire year working his ass off, being a competitive wrestler. He is over as hell with the fans. He's been over with the fans since his original debut match against Chad Gable. He has been over with the fans since day fucking one. Day one. It sometimes takes wrestlers years to have a connection with the audience. It takes wrestlers years to have the type of matches that Penta walked straight in and started having. And right off the bat, I'd also like to note, people act like the WWE booked Penta weak. They did not book him weak. In case you didn't realize or remember, the majority of his Intercontinental Championship matches that he had ended in interference or somebody screwing it over or ending the match. He didn't just come out there and lose 5 or 6 times straight. Some of those matches didn't even have finishes. So it's not like they booked him weak. They actually booked him strong because those matches had no conclusive victory, which means he didn't get pinned. But congratulations to Penta. Well earned. A fighting workhorse champion for the workhorse title. I am excited to see what his WrestleMania looks like, honestly. Because you got to have Penta on Mania, and you got to have him on Mania with that Intercontinental. Now, moving on to the technical main event, the Roman Reigns segment, which, holy fucking balls, what a promo exchange. if this is what we're getting with all these Roman dates or some of these dates between now and Mania, because we know he's going to be here nearly every week between now and Mania, I don't know how much more personal this is going to get, guys. So Roman Reigns comes out, and the first thing he can do is tell Indianapolis to basically acknowledge him. And then out comes Punk. Punk gets a great reaction. They even finish singing a song when it cuts off, much to the chagrin and ego of Roman Reigns, right? Punk admits, he goes, you know what? Yeah, I am tired. Your tweet, I don't take your tweet personally because I am tired. Punk's got 2 black eyes, guys, 2, with a cut on his nose, too. He looks exhausted. He looks beaten. He went through a war with Finn. But he tells Roman some bomb lines here. He says, it's a good thing I've got these bags under my eyes because I got to carry your bullshit all the way to WrestleMania. That was great. Roman basically says, you know what, dude, you didn't bring me up here. You brought the other 2. Oh, you're mad because I didn't choose you, Roman. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. Maybe we remember things differently. He says he's going to bury Roman at WrestleMania. And the whole point of this promo segment from Punk's side was clarifying that Roman is alone and Roman can't do anything alone. He's always needed help, but there's no Shield. There's no bloodline. There's no wise man to help him now. But he says, don't worry, Roman. When we get to WrestleMania, you don't have to worry about being alone anymore because I'm not going to beat you. I'm going to bury you and put you next to your father who died 2 years ago. That right there was the most vicious shit I've ever heard CM Punk fucking say on a microphone in WWE. That crossed the line so hard. I cannot wait to see this fucking match. This was great, guys. What did you think of this?
Holy fucking shit. This, oh my God, I don't even have any words for this promo exchange because of how intense it was, how personal it got, and just, I don't even know how Punk gathered the courage to say that, but it is Punk, so, I mean, you get it in a way. But I mean, if Punk's gonna pull that card, I mean, Roman could also pull another card on him, but I don't think he would do. I don't think Roman would do that, even if it was for the story. I don't think he would do that. You probably get what I'm hinting at.
Larry.
Yeah. I don't think he would do that because I mean, Roman's better than that behind kayfabe, but I just don't think he would do that, even if it was for the story. But I'm super pumped for this Mania main event, even if Finn wasn't thrown in, because to be honest, I don't think he's going to be thrown in anymore. But just God damn, if all of Roman's dates leading up to Mania are like this is basically going to be the triple threat minus Seth. That's what the vibes I'm going to get from this entire match, and I'm speechless. I have no words, and I just want to see the match already.
Yeah, this is really good, man. 2 of the greatest, CM Punk and Roman face to face to build up the match for WrestleMania. And yeah, they said a lot of personal stuff to each other, a lot of things from the past. One of the big things that was going through my mind throughout this was the fan reaction, because I'm thinking the fans, we like both of these guys. So who has the bigger fanfare here? Is it Roman or is it CM Punk? I don't know, man. The crowd is split here with this one. But me, for one, just from this segment alone, I was behind CM Punk more than Roman Reigns. And maybe, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I haven't seen Roman Reigns in this position in a long time, where Roman Reigns didn't come off to me like the more confident one in the ring. Like we're used to seeing, he's Roman Reigns, right? He's so smooth with everything that he does and everything that he says. But this is how good CM Punk is. Roman Reigns started stumbling on his words there.
You're right, dude.
And he was trying to say stuff like seemed like he was forgetting his lines. And it's like, okay, is this John Cena and Roman Reigns in 2015 again? That's what it felt like to me.
Deer in the
You
headlight.
know? Yeah.
It was
And I was just
legit,
like,
and you know what
holy
it was?
shit.
It CM Punk, and I want you to clip this so we can see what our audience thinks. CM Punk went into this promo not with kid gloves, but he went in with just enough to build, right? It was the moment Roman said that you're a liar, that you have all these fans fooled, that you think that your friends backstage, you're cool, that you're happy to be here. But as soon as you go back, you're bitching and moaning, and people are coming to me because you're complaining that you're not happy, that you're hanging out with my cousins, and you think that's cool that you can just hang out with my cousins, but you're a whiner, a bitcher. We didn't bring you back because you're a star. We didn't bring you back to be champion. We brought you back to maybe sell some t-shirts. Maybe so you could draw a gate at Chicago or when we're in Chicago. But we didn't bring you back to be a champion because you're untrustworthy. You can't handle a responsibility because of who you are. And I don't know if he was supposed to say all of that. I think Roman started feeling cornered, and he started saying stuff that maybe they didn't talk about. Maybe it wasn't initially the bullet points of the promo. And then we saw in real time a switch fucking turn in Punk's head. And then Punk stopped playing with kid gloves and went for the fucking jugular. And I genuinely think that the moment that happened, Roman realized he stepped in shit because he lost that promo. He lost that promo. I think he really kind of stepped on Punk's crawl there for a second.
Yeah, quick shout out to Luis Bruh says, "Wait till the fight. The diaper wearing Punk won't beat the tribal chief." Yeah, we'll see about that.
Hasn't Punk literally beaten Roman before?
I don't know. He's just talking shit. He's just trying to get me worked up. It's not gonna work, Luis. But yeah, there was a point in this, and this is why I love these segments with Punk and Roman so much, because it felt like at some point it went completely off script. And I think it was right after that when Roman Reigns was gonna walk away. He was like, "I'm gonna get the last word in, and it's time to go." And then Punk grabbed him, and he's like, "No. You just said a lot of stuff just now, and you're not just gonna walk away that easy. We're gonna address these things that you just said to me, dog. All right." And that's when it was like, "Oh, okay." So it was lovely, bro. It was lovely.
I think Punk still stayed in kayfabe, but I think he stayed in kayfabe while really turning on the fire under Roman's ass. He's like, because I guarantee you the father line was still a part of the script. I do not see Punk ever genuinely saying that about Roman's father without approval. I just can't see him saying it. Because
that's not what it felt like to me, but
I gotta be.
I mean, we don't know.
That was a bullet point. But if we're being real, if he had really said that to Roman in front of a house full of Roman, I don't know if Roman would have contained his fucking temper. I think Roman would have put hands on him. In real life, you really said that about his dad. I don't see Roman not hitting him in the fucking face.
Roman's a professional. He's not going to do anything.
Roman is everybody's a professional to a point, because after that, you do see Roman selling the line the way he always does, the facial expressions and the pacing. He was in character. I think that line was for it. I think it was the shit that Punk said up to that, where he was like, "I'm sorry, what did you just fucking say about me? Because we didn't talk about that beforehand." "Oh, okay. Well, I was being nice because I know you ain't on my level on this fucking microphone. But now I'm gonna show you that you're boxing with God, bitch." And he turned it up because he was so red from the neck to the face that I literally, the moment he turned him around, he's like, "You're gonna listen to what I have to say." I was like, "Oh, damn."
Yeah,
Roman said some shit he wasn't supposed to.
This was a promo battle because a lot of the shit that they said to each other just felt uncalled for.
It felt uncomfortable.
Like you weren't supposed to be champion. Like, I can't wait to send you down to NXT so you can train all the up and comers. So so you can line them up for me so I think he tried to say smack him, but he said smatch him or whatever. But
he stumbled over his word.
Yeah,
I think Punk got in his head because Roman tripped over his words 3 times, like 3 or 4 times. And I think Roman realized you are the main event draw when it comes to like stories with scripts that you can really, really sink your teeth into. You're great in the matches when you're methodical and you're working your pace in a ring. But when a real promo challenge genuinely stands up to you, it is very rare that Roman can get the better of someone like John Cena or a Seth Rollins or a CM Punk. When I look back, Roman has always lost those promos more than he's won them because I'm sorry, best in-ring on the mic in the game still in WWE is CM Punk. And Roman bit off more than he could chew in this promo segment, and it was very obvious. And it honestly makes me wonder, what the fuck are they going to do the next 6 weeks to get to this match? Because there's only so much, but you can only go so personal.
This shit went 0 to 100 real quick, huh?
Dude, eventually they're going to get physical. But as far as talking is concerned for the next season, because Roman's dates are out, he's basically going to be on Raw for the next like 5 weeks. He's got like, I think he's supposed to be there like not next week, but the week after, the week after that, the week after that, skip a week, the week after that. I don't know how you turning this even higher. All I know is this already made me want to see the match more. I don't know how much more I can want to see a match with 5 weeks of build to go. So this was a great episode of Monday Night Raw, guys. Thank you so much for kicking it with us. We appreciate every single one of you for hanging out with us as always, but that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Monday Night Raw, the March 2nd, 2026 edition. Of course, you can kick it with us every single week live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after Raw, NXT, and SmackDown go off the air, respectively, for live post-show reviews. Of course, that's always live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you do miss the live shows, you can always head over to our Apple and Spotify. We got the entire library up over there as well as on YouTube when the shows end. And of course, for bonus content, head over to our actual channels on all social media for reaction content segment to segment during the actual shows as they're taking place. And kick it with us every Thursday night on TikTok Live, where myself, Mr. Blood, and the head and founder of Snug Wrestling, Edgar, go one-on-one for random and or relevant wrestling topics for 1 hour, where we'll also answer your fan questions live. And that's always at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Central on Thursday nights. And of course, guys, you can always support the channel by heading over to public.com/Snug Wrestling, where you can pick up your Snug Wrestling merch to support the podcast. Over 100 designs across tons of apparel, stickers, tapestries, magnets, art, pants, jackets, hoodies, you name it, phone cases, and the list goes on. So guys, until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. And boys, well, specifically Toxic, because Tommy's not with us tonight, that was one time for the one time. I said Toxic, my boy. That was
4 letters.
One word.